This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I am your host, Erica Lance. My amazing co-host today, who hopefully will not hurt herself too badly by laughing due to lack of wisdom teeth, is C.R. Rice. And our guest today is Connor D. Bruler. Yay! Woo! Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, okay. I'm getting better at this. I am still drinking because I put way too much lightning in this. What we're calling the War Horseman, which is Skunk Brothers Spirits White Lightning with cranberry juice, pomegranate juice, and elderberry syrup.
Oh, elderberry
pretty good.
Syrup.
Elderberry syrup.
It's healthy. It's part of our healthy line.
It's our way to bring our healthy drinking habits to life. CR, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Pestilence, which is the green tea vodka, and I did some raspberries in it this time. So it's super yummy.
Super healthy. Connor, what are you drinking?
So I'm drinking Long Drink, the Finnish Long Drink. It's a gin grapefruit Tom Collins, essentially, with added juniper berries for flavor. It's been the most popular drink in Finland since 1952. When it was popularized by the 52 Helsinki Olympics, and they just started importing it to South Carolina.
Well, that's fancy. That's super fancy. Okay, let us talk about our favorite rapid fire questions. What is your favorite book of all time?
2666 by Roberto Bolaño.
Why?
You know, it's 1,000 pages, so it'll do you for a while. It was the first, I think everybody has that one book in their reading life that they were just ready for when it came out. They were in the right space at the right time. I was looking for something new and interesting to read, and I had become interested in Mexican, South American literature, Latin American literature at large. I had discovered Bolaño on Halloween I had gone to see Nosferatu for free at the local library when I was in high school. How popular I was in high school. I went alone to a library to watch a black and white movie on Halloween. And before the library closed, I started running through the aisles, and I found Bolaño. I picked up the book and I started on page 88, and I read that page and I felt like somebody had just blown angel dust into my face. I was in a psychedelic state having read these words. I eventually went and bought, I waited until Christmas because I don't ask for much, and I bought the novel 2666, his magnum opus that he never finished. And I'm profoundly dyslexic, so reading, as much as I do it and as much as I love it, it's very difficult for me. So reading a 1,000-page novel was very daunting at 17, and I got lost in it. It was the most interesting, unusual book I'd ever read in my life. And the writing was so different. It was so fresh. I remember being up on a school night at 10 o'clock at night, the light on, reading this book, going, you can write books like this? You can do this? His whole style has that sultry, bizarre haze, like you're not quite there, like you just got off a plane, you're jet lagged. Your internal clock is saying that, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but you walk out into the empty parking lot with the lights, the sounds of sirens in the background. You're not quite there. It's a haze, and I just fell in love with it. His style was so unusual, and his breadth of the story. There's parts of the book that take place in Atlanta that I new parts of the streets he was talking about. There's parts of the book that took place in Nazi Germany in 1942. There's large portions of the book that take place in northern Mexico. It had this melding of the thriller and the literary together with the political, a Mexican early 70s socialist political policy. And, it was just the right book at the right time. And I go back to that writer, Roberto Bolaño, all the time and read his shorter works and his other stuff. I reread parts of The Savage Detectives in 2666. And there's nothing else that lifts me out of the chair and hovers around the room, like his work. It's just so, it's so alive. It's so unusual. It's like it's like somewhere between Almodovar and David Lynch. He's just amazing. So yeah, 2666, favorite book, hands down.
Very cool. What about the least favorite book you've ever read?
Maybe the least favorite book that I've had to read cover to cover.
Yes.
It was a book I had to read in middle school called Catherine Called Bernie. It was the diary of a young girl in the Middle Ages. And I just found it really stale and pointless. And, it was school, so I was forced to read it. And I don't read very well. And I was struggling. I struggled through most of my schooling. So yeah, that book just didn't do it for me. Everyone else in the class loved it. And I felt horrible for being the odd one out who was like, I don't really like this. You guys like this? I don't think this is very good.
Wow. You finish books? Will you finish them if you start them?
No. If a book doesn't do it for me, I have no compunction about letting it go 80 pages, 70 pages in. It's the author, they're not gonna be crying over me. They don't care what I think.
I guess so. Chels?
Okay, if you could be any supernatural creature, who would you be? What would you be?
Bigfoot, 1000%.
Okay.
Bigfoot. My ex-wife used to call me a Sasquatch.
All right.
Yeah, Bigfoot is one of the more interesting myths because it's not scary. They try to, in some bad movies and some documentaries, make Bigfoot scary, but that's not why people are interested in Bigfoot. Bigfoot is not a haunted house. Bigfoot is not the chupacabra. Bigfoot is us. He's anthropomorphism. He's humanity mythologizing where we came from down the evolutionary line. The reason we're interested in Bigfoot and want to believe that this 10-foot tall ape is still walking through the Pacific Northwest and the Florida Everglades and North Carolina and Minnesota. He's in China, he's in Australia, he's everywhere. The Yeti, it's all over. The reason we love those stories is because it's uplifting. It's a celebration of the natural world. To think that we haven't solved every mystery that the natural world has to offer. And Bigfoot is the hope that we're gonna continue to discover things, that we haven't destroyed the planet to this nth degree. This big ape that is, it's us anthropomorphizing ourselves. He's this giant ape creature. He's very solitary. He's alone. He doesn't want to be seen. He just wants to be one with nature. He wants to be at peace. And plus, his gait is really cool. I'd be Bigfoot. Yeah, 1000%.
That's a good answer. I like it a lot. What is your favorite book that has been turned into a mini show or a movie? Like, what do you think they did really well with?
Favorite book that was turned into a movie, and they did a good job. And they did a good job.
Or TV show. It could be a TV show because they've done some really good things with TV shows.
Yeah, they definitely have. A favorite book that was turned into a series. I really thought they did a really good job with The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. That's a tough book to adapt. And I thought that Skarsgård and Pattinson and that whole group did the film for Netflix. I thought it was pretty darn good. I thought it was pretty stellar. And the irony, the book was a big deal when it came out, and the movie didn't get great reviews. And I thought they adapted it really, really well and really faithfully.
Very cool. I have not seen it. I'll have to check it out. Chelsea?
I haven't either. Okay. If you could be any main character from a book, who would you be?
If I could be any main character from a book, hopefully one that doesn't die a bad death.
Yeah, and you have to live their life. You can't change anything. You're just beginning to end.
Beginning to end, live their life. I could be any character. I would be Ohio Lecontre from Amulet by Roberto Bolaño. I would be a Mexican poetess or a Uruguayan-born Mexican poetess and just live in Mexico City in the 70s and foster all of these young poets on the street. That's what I would do. That's a great book. And then have a psychedelic experience where I see the future while I'm locked inside of a hotel bathroom.
I mean, where else would you have them?
No, it's a bathroom at the University of Mexico. She's inside because there are riots and she has to keep herself safe. And she starts to see the future in the sink in the bathroom. So, and she doesn't die horribly. Spoiler alert. She lives a wonderful life. I would live that life.
Okay. What about for a sidekick? What character would you want to be your sidekick?
My sidekick. The original Robin from Adam West's Batman, but I would just be me. I would just be a normal person, living my life, delivering for Uber Eats, and he would be next to me and be like, $6? Holy heck, Connor. And I'm like, calm down, Robin. We'll get to this. And then everybody just wonder what the fuck is going on.
That is awesome.
That would be amazing.
That is awesome. When you're reading, because you mentioned you were dyslexic, or you are dyslexic, I don't know that it goes away. Do you prefer paper or do you prefer electronic? Is there a way that's easier for you to read?
So there are electronic fonts that are easier to read, but I've found that as time goes on, I just need a font that's decent size. It doesn't have to be large print, although large print helps. Decent sized font. So probably the hardest thing in the world to read are religious scripts like the Quran and the Bible. They jam pack thousands of words into those little pages. It all starts to blend. Reading is, for physically reading a book, I can last for about an hour and a half before it starts to make me a little nauseous and ill. So there are limits to that. So I'm a huge audiobook fan. I love to listen to audiobooks, and I'll often read a book and then listen to the audio and then kind of see how the cadence fits the physical look of the words on the page.
No, that makes sense. Chelsea?
All right. What is your favorite weird food combination?
Savory oatmeal with hot sauce.
What is a savory oatmeal?
Just make oatmeal and then put a soft-boiled egg on top, or sunny side up egg on top with a little avocado and hot sauce, and that's breakfast. So and cheese. It helps. So savory oatmeal. Don't put milk or any fruits or anything sweet on there. Just as much Tabasco as you can palate.
Okay.
I don't know how weird that is, though, because oatmeal can
it's
go
kind of
either
like
way
grits.
unless it's flavored. Like if you
It's
I
kind of like
hate
grits.
I hate grits
I
with a
love
burning passion. So it's like little freaking maggot things just in a bowl. Like, no, it's like farina. I can't do farina.
I like polenta. I don't know how much I like farina.
Oh, it's all
But
weird. It
I
all looks like little bugs.
I like the actual tube of polenta and chop it into, little pucks like patties and grill that on a skillet.
Okay, that's different. That's different than like actually creaming it and creating like almost mashed base.
Yeah, I can't eat anything creamy or runny, and I never use spoons.
You never even spoons?
Don't like spoons.
Wait, so are you saying you don't eat cereal?
Never. Can't stand it.
Now you've done it. Now you've done it.
Find it. I actually can't be in the same room with it. It's since childhood. I hate it so much.
You know what? Where's my cereal bowl?
No,
you're lucky
no,
I can't eat cereal right now.
I'm not
allowed to have crunchy.
It's actually not funny. I've thrown up before when friends are eating cereal. I can't stand it. I just think it's disgusting. I think it should be illegal.
It's my entire diet.
Yeah, I get nauseous stacking it when I worked in grocery for so long.
That is so different.
I think it's the worst stuff in the world, and it's not allowed in my apartment. It's not allowed in my house. I close my eyes when cereal commercials come on TV. I think it's the worst stuff in the world.
Wow.
That is insane. I'm not even joking. I eat an insane amount of cereal. Like I have a special bowl and everything.
Well, I will never come to your house.
So sad. I mean, I would never do that. That would be torture. I mean, if you ever needed to get secrets out of you, I mean, I know the answer of how to get it now. But
I'm starting to make myself grossed out.
Okay, let's stop talking about cereal.
Next question. All right. What is your writing kryptonite? Like you can be on a roll, and if it happens or whatever, all of a sudden you can't write anymore.
Physical pain or nausea. I can't write through illnesses very well. I really have to be feeling healthy and sharp to write. So if I have a muscle strain or I'm experiencing illness, have a cold or the flu or the effects of the COVID boosters, or if have an upset stomach or I'm nauseous, or in the older days in college when I was hungover, I just can't write if I'm not feeling 1,000% sure. It's my brain just doesn't want to focus on anything other than the pain. So writing kryptonite, I can pretty much write anywhere. I've written on the backs of receipts. I've written in the margins of magazines. I've written at work. That's not a problem for me. If I'm not feeling 100% like healthy, I can't string two words together.
Do you listen to music when you're writing?
All the time.
What do you listen to?
I like to listen to smooth jazz if the scene is very calm. I love Charles Mingus. I love Miles Davis. I love Chet Baker's okay. I like Mingus and Davis probably that 1950s style jazz. I listen to a lot of the lo-fi beats stuff on YouTube, the binaural beats for focus, the ADHD music, anything. I've listened to the sound of desert winds, especially when I was writing my Western. I listened to a lot of desert winds to get me in the mood. I'll listen to the haunted house stuff if I'm writing a spookier, scarier scene that needs to ramp up. And then in between, like if I need to take a break, sit back, and then come back and write another paragraph, I'll listen to some music, country, Townes Van Zandt, Steve Earle. I love hardcore death metal. I of Napalm Death, High on Fire, Bong Ripper, Dope Throne, black metal, all of it. So in between that and that. So
you do a lot of writing. You talked about writing on receipts and stuff. Do you do a lot of writing by hand, or do you mostly use a computer?
It's a mix. Sometimes I write directly onto the computer, and sometimes I have to sit and write it out by hand. And I find that if I have a good idea of what those first few sentences are going to be, and I have the rhythm and the sound correct, then I can write directly into the computer. If I'm if I'm a little out of step, or I'm going to write, but I'm not necessarily inspired, and I don't want to necessarily sit down and write, but I'm making myself, the journal, the actual physically writing it out, you give yourself this mental trick where this isn't real. I can throw this page away. If it's in the computer, it's real. People are going to judge this, and you're a bad person for writing it badly. But if it's in a journal, it's like, no, this doesn't matter. This is no big deal. You just dangling modifiers. Who cares? Nobody's going to see this. You don't know how semicolons work. Just write what you need to write. Enjoy what you need to do. And then you can go back, and when you transcribe it into the computer, your editing brain takes over, and you can, why did I write that sentence? That's awful. This needs to be here and that needs to be there. You can edit yourself. There's a second layer to it. It's sometimes you just have to switch yourself up. Sometimes, I just can't get a sentence down. The pen and the paper is kind of that lubricant. It's like just get it down, right? Give yourself permission to write the worst page you've ever written. And at the end of the day, you'll find that you did okay. You're better than you think you are.
Very cool. Okay, Chelsea, final question, my friend.
All right. What is on your anti-bucket list? A thing you will never do again?
A thing I will never do again. Go to college. I'll never go to college again. Anti-bucket list, things I'll never do again.
Or something you never want to do.
I never want to work in the medical field again. That time has sailed. 3 years was enough, and it to be completely honest, it wasn't very pleasant.
That makes sense. Okay, well, Connor, we know unfortunately you don't as of yet have the media presence that hopefully you will have by the time this episode airs, if we can crowbar that in somehow. But can you talk about the books that you have coming out?
Yeah, so I just put out a short story collection, but in the next 2 months I have a book coming out called Hollow Bible. It's a crime fiction novel. The main character's name is Basil Shaver, and he is squatting in a motel room on the South Carolina coast, writing down his life story as a Category 5 hurricane comes into shore. So his time is running out, and the book is written, but you're reading his journal and his account of his life, which is filled with crime syndicates and violence and all sorts of really terrible things.
Very cool. And the short story collection is called?
Return of the Death God.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on this podcast with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. This has been a lot of fun. So this has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I've been your host, Erica Lance. My co-host has been the fabulous, as always, C.R. Rice. And our guest has been Connor de Bruler. And we will, Skunk Brothers Spirits, DWA 10. coupon code, and we will see you guys next time.